talk like this because we love each other. And I say tonight that I do love your pastor. My mother only had 2 children. I have one sister. I love her dearly. She's here tonight. But if I had a blood brother, he could not be any closer to me than Dr. Thomas. And I'm grateful to him. I'm thankful. Preaching installment of this revival, and I phrase it that way because the revival goes on as we fan out into the community and even into our homes to carry on the blessed work of Christ. But tonight, these words come alive in the 27th chapter of Matthew, beginning at the 34th verse, and I shall read through verse 46. And all of these words are familiar to you as they are part of the crucifixion narrative. The 27th chapter of Matthew, beginning at verse 34. They gave him vinegar to drink mingled with gall. And when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink. And they crucified him and parted his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They parted my garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And sitting down, they watched him there, and set up over his head his accusation written, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Then were there 2 thieves crucified with him, one on the right side and another on the left. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, saying, "Thou that destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself. If thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross." And likewise also the chief priests, mocking him with the scribes and elders, said, "He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now, if he will have him, for he said, I am the Son of God." The thieves also, which were crucified with him, cast the same in his teeth. And now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," that is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" I want to preach tonight from the subject, "When Hell Was in Session." When hell was in session. Satan is by no means chaotic and confusing, even though he creates chaos and confusion. Anybody who walks in the Spirit of Christ immediately recognizes that the agenda, the program, the itinerary, if you will, of Satan is orderly and defined. It's a very bothersome thought to me when I speculate about the origin of evil. For evil did not find its commencement someplace far removed from God, but its origin was right by the throne of God itself. In the beginning, the one that we know today as Satan was an angelic being. He was an angel of the morning. And he had been granted certain responsibilities. And out of those responsibilities, there developed in him the desire to usurp the sovereignty of God. And as a result of that rebellion, he was speedily and quickly dismissed from heaven, plunged through the air, and made to dwell upon the earth, where right now he is very much alive, seeking to devour whom he will. We must never forget that hell was not the creation of the devil, but hell is the creation of God. It is the antithesis of heaven. It is the... Don't look now, but he's right here. He might be to your left. He might be to your right. Might be in front of you, might be in back of you. In fact, this morning when you looked in the mirror, you might have been looking him dead in the eye. Like a roaring lion. You don't mind me taking my time. He is walking to and fro, seeking whom he might devour. Read your history, both sacred and secular, and it will become immediately discernible just how orderly and defined his agenda is. On the opening pages of the Bible, he's right here. For I see him in the fall of Adam and Eve. I see him in the conflict between Cain and Abel. I see his activity in the construction and destruction of the Tower of Babel. I see him active in the adulterous relationship of David and Bathsheba. I see him in the racism of our own country, where we as black people have been made to languish beneath the oppressive yoke of segregation, discrimination, and all manner of evil. Did we not see him in Hitler's Third Reich during World War II, when over 6 million Jews lost their lives because of the diabolical activity of one man? The devil is active. And whenever he gets a chance, he wants to convene hell in your life. We come tonight to Calvary, that Friday almost 2,000 years ago, when your Lord and my Savior hung between the living and the dead, that our salvation might be purchased. And it's impossible ever to come to our salvation without understanding that without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sins. When you think about what Jesus endured so that you and I can shout tonight, it ought to cause you to tremble. The devil had been on Jesus' trail for 33 consecutive years. He had done his best to annihilate him when he was born. For those wise men who had come out of the east bearing gifts were not supposed to return to their country without first going back through Jerusalem. But God intervened, as he always will, protecting not only his son, but building a hedge around all of his children. And the record is that the wise men went back another way. But that did not stop Herod the Great, for he attempted to kill all Jewish babies 2 years and younger in his attempt to stamp out the God of our salvation. Satan met up with him again a few years later in the wilderness, where 3 times in 40 days he tried to lure Jesus away from the arms of his Father. But once again, he escaped, came through the crowd. And somebody needs to understand that whenever the Lord rescues you, that's not luck. That's providence. Have you ever been in a car and your car may have been involved in a terrible accident and glass and metal was shattered all around you, but you got up and walked away without a scratch? If you're a child of God, don't you call it luck. But you better remember that all day and all night, angels, those ethereal emissaries from eternity, angels, I can't put my hands on them, but they are in this room right now. Angels keep watching over me. Death said, I think I've got in where I want him. But the devil said, wait your minute. We've got to make sure that all of the reports are positive before we let you do your work. And the devil became enraged because all of those coming in from the field were late. And finally, he began to call the roll. And he said, Betrayal, are you here? Betrayal held up his hand and said, I'm here, brother devil. And I've got a good report. I got one of his own disciples to betray him for chump change. 30 pieces of silver. Betrayal sat down. The devil said, who else is here? Denial said, I'm here. I've got a good report. I got the rock to deny him 3 times in one night. The devil said, well done. Who else is here? Fear said, I'm here. Said, I got every one of his disciples to the man to forsake him. And look at him up there now. He's all by himself. The devil said, well done. But he said, where is conspiracy? Conspiracy said, I'm here, and I have an affirmative report because I got Caiaphas the high priest, Herod the tetrarch of Galilee, and I also got that third man, Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor of Judea, to enter into an unholy alliance, so that between last night and this morning, he could not find a just cause in anybody's court. The devil said, but wait a minute, there's one more person I'm waiting for. Where is deception? And about that time, deception came running up to the hill of Calvary with beads of perspiration off his forehead and his tongue hanging out his mouth. And the devil said, why are you late, deception? Deception said, I had a hard job. I had to convince the crowd that they ought to crucify Jesus and let Barabbas go. Finally, the devil looked out and said, well, everybody's here now. Betrayal is here. Denial is here. Fear is here. Conspiracy is here. Deception is here. And now hell is officially in session. I feel like preaching a little while tonight. Somebody needs to hear this word. Because with all this singing and shouting we've already done, somebody has hell in his or her life right now.